Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to TRS Live with your hosts Brian Keller, Matt Schrotz, and Zach Hoffman, presented by The Real Shot.
I'ma do this here forever.
EQ.
Forever.
Triune.
Forever.
Yeah.
Forever. I'ma do this here forever.
Let's go.
All you haters better get comfy. This the day you've been waiting on. Your road is finna get bumpy. This the track I'm making my statement on. I ain't going nowhere. This the place that I'm making home. I'll do this shit forever. Hit the gas and I'm taking off. Ow. I was born with passion. My job is never ending and my hustle's everlasting. No matter what, I'm gon' ball, even with my back to the wall. And the best part is that this is the beginning. I'ma do this here forever. Forever.
Good morning, everybody. What's going on?
It's finally Friday, Zach.
It's Friday.
Finally Friday.
Finally
See, this is the
Friday.
problem when Zach has control of the system, right? He gets to play all his
Yeah, I wanted
cool
to lead
Spider-Man
in with
stuff.
You didn't send me the
George
link you should
Jones.
have.
Finally Friday. We had to watch a
That's
guy
your
in a
fault.
Spider-Man bathing
Right.
suit the other
That's
day.
your fault.
Right?
It's your fault.
Spider-Man.
My fault.
It's your fault. You didn't send me the right file. Anyways, welcome to the show, everybody.
Wow. See, there he goes again, just taking control. He's just
Just-
in control.
Just voodoo in me.
That's how it be sometimes.
Well, good morning. It is Friday, and we are excited for the weekend. The sun is shining outside.
It does feel good.
So
There's
excited for the
vitamin D.
weekend.
Yeah, him and I were outside for a little bit here, just
Yeah.
getting ready for the show, and it was nice.
It's so nice
I
out.
thought that yesterday driving home. The sun was out. Driving home is like 4:35. I was
Yep.
like, God, it feels nice to see the sun.
Yeah, that is a nice, yes. It's 5 o'clock now, and it's still light outside. That's really,
it
really
felt
nice.
really nice to see the sun. It made me really, really wish that I could be fishing pretty soon. That's what it
And
made
just
me
as
do.
much as we're going to enjoy it, Mother Nature is going to say, yep, with warm-up comes rain and ice, and so
Yeah, I know.
they're potentially
I
calling
don't
for some.
I still want a snowmobile, though. I mean, I like the
Well,
sun
yeah.
and the stuff, but I still
You'll just
trying
be
to
able to
go
go faster.
Still trying to go
Hey,
snowmobiling.
I do have a question for guys that snowmobile. Can
What's
you drive your snowmobiles on the road?
In some areas,
Some areas,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Most
okay.
most ditches you can legally ride the ditches. The roads, if it's on the road, that's your snowmobile routes.
Oh, okay. Because I was fouled home the other day.
Were they like right on the road?
Yeah, they're right on
Oh,
the road. They weren't
typically-
in the ditch. They
Oh.
Once we got off, we went over one road and on another road. Then
Right.
the dude rode the ditch, but he was like, because the roads were not great.
Right.
I think it was Wednesday when we got that snow and everything, and the dude was like, I was only going 40, 45, and he was right on my tail.
What did you do with these cameras, Zach? Like, where am I supposed
them
to
around.
be? I know.
You're
but-
everywhere.
I know, but I'm like,
Can-
I'm supposed to be like
Here you
hugging
go.
man.
Hey,
There's-
Topper
there's this.
Trots, if you're watching,
There's
tell
your
Brian to
camera.
stop moving around.
There's yours. See? There. Look at.
Well, like the
There you go.
dual camera, I'm like way off in the corner.
Is this
I
one
don't
here?
know what's going on.
This is the
That's
dual
better.
camera.
Oh,
That's the dual camera.
What was I on?
The other
Matt's?
the other one's supposed to be Matt's, but Matt moved like that way for some reason. So you want to go
Oh.
that way a little bit. There you go.
It's
There
I
you go.
didn't
freaking me
move.
out.
There you go.
What's going on
See,
here?
There you go.
freaking
Who's
me
running
out.
this show?
Jeez.
Anyways, so
we got a big show today.
We do.
show.
Matt's been super jacked about this one since Wednesday.
I haven't studied this much since high school, and I didn't study a lot in high
I mean,
school.
you were
so
on the
that
phone. You were like a journalist.
Means, I
He
know.
A little
was.
bit. Not a journal, like a reporter, like a real one.
Like a
actually.
real
reporter.
investigative
Real
reporter.
news. Real news. Not the fake stuff, but the real one.
Yeah, I was an
Right?
investigative reporter. I don't have a lot
So,
of
like,
stuff.
what is this camera supposed to be showing us right now? It's like wall space.
Did I? I didn't move that much.
We had it set up so that he would, sit upright, but he keeps leaning back going that
All right,
way.
just don't use that camera anymore,
Stop
Zach.
mobbing me.
Jeez Louise. that was
Anyways,
terrible.
so we're back on topic.
Terrible.
So we are going to talk about CWD today.
Yep. See a lot of CWD talk.
Yep. There was a video that was released. We'll show portions of that video that, they were talking about a potential cure.
Yep.
And in my research, that video, maybe there's some truth to it, maybe not.
Yeah,
So we'll get into that.
We're not trying to we're not. I don't know. I don't really have an
No.
opinion on it.
Well-
I think it's just interesting.
Yep.
I think it's something that's obviously. I think if people don't think it's important, they should.
Right.
Right. I think that's kind of what we want. So I think we're going to talk a little bit about the history, where it came from, that type of
Yes.
stuff.
Yep. Yep.
So before we get into that, though, I thought something that was really interesting that happened. So we talked a lot about the MLF,
Yep.
Major League Fishing stuff. And a couple weeks ago, Ike and Ellie, we actually, I don't know if we played that clip on the show or not, but he lost his mind.
No, we shared the
did.
one where
Yeah, we didn't share. We didn't watch his. I don't think. Or maybe we did share it. I don't know. We looked it
I
up.
can't remember.
It was out there. But anyway,
I can't remember if we shared the Ike and Ellie.
you know,
video.
history-wise, he thought he made the cut. He didn't make the cut. He lost it. Completely flipped out. Well, he came out with like a public apology today on his Facebook page, which, I don't know. Personally, I don't know if it's necessary or not.
That's what I was just gonna say.
I think
was
it's.
it?
I
I
think
don't think it was
that
necessary at all.
No.
I don't think anything he did is anything that personally I probably haven't done in the
Right.
past, or I don't think anybody's done if they're in a high-stress situation. You know what I mean? I mean, who's not going to be disappointed?
And I don't understand. So unless they edited the video
Right.
from the
From
the
the
live to
right,
the
right.
you know, was it a lot worse than what you could watch if you go to their website and watch that clip? But
Well-
I don't think he did it. Like you said, he was for that much that's at stake for that format. The guy was in his own rights. I mean, he literally lost by I don't even remember the weight, but
0.0.
yeah,
I mean,
it,
you got a shot. You got a shot to make the top 10 to go fish the next day for $100,000. You find out you're bumped. Every guy I know who's a competitor is going to be a little pissed.
If anything, he should have apologized to his boat prop because he floored it through.
Right.
He floored it through some straight.
You know,
it was
that's-
mud.
That's just today's deal, though, right? I mean, he get pressures from his sponsors, I'm sure. Apologize because, you know, he hurt somebody's feelings or whatever. He did what he did. He said, you know, if you read the apology, it's, you know, he basically said he's got a lot of stress going on in his personal life. He let it kind of affect him, which is great. If he felt like he truly needed to apologize, great. I don't like the fact if people are forcing people to apologize. Right. Like if this is truly Ike and Ellie coming out saying, you know, hey, I screwed up, I messed up, I apologize for my actions, you know, that's great. If it's dictated by MLF or dictated by sponsors or whatever, because I didn't think it was that bad that you have to apologize for it.
And TJ did mention that when we talked to him, you know, during that week of that tournament, and he didn't really get into it. So if we have him on, we're thinking about getting him on again for Monday.
Right.
You know, that would be a good point to reiterate that with, hey, man, did you see something more that was
Right, that'd be good question. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Right. But, yeah, I agree. Like, if he was forced to do it, it's one thing, but I don't think from what we could see and what the public could see, it wasn't anything that nobody else would have done in the same situation.
I mean,
anybody else, they would have done the same dang
if
thing.
people are watching
I'd
the
have been
show,
worse.
Oh, right.
That'd be my
Isn't
problem.
the guy
I'd be
known
worse.
for snapping a rod, Bo
That's
Jackson
his
style?
mantra.
Yeah.
So if his mantra and his brand is built around that,
And-
then why
and-
should he apologize?
And you can't tell me that MLF wasn't excited for that kind of reaction.
absolutely.
Right. That's all about
I
ratings.
totally agree.
Right. So I'm
If-
sure MLF didn't tell
Well,
him
and
to
if-
apologize, but, you know.
If people are going to watch this show over the summer when I'm on the boat, I could lose a random fish on a Wednesday that doesn't mean crap, and I'll lose it.
Yeah, nobody.
Right?
Literally. I tell you what, if you have a competitive bone in your body,
Right.
you hate losing no matter what it
Yes.
is.
Even if even if it's not a competition, I get angry when I lose a fish
Yes.
on a random Wednesday
Yep.
or a random Thursday, right?
I mean,
like,
to be honest, when
I'm not fishing for squat.
there's days when we have ideas and they get kind of debunked, and all of a sudden we're like, "Ugh," but it's the competitive nature
Right.
of all three of
Totally
us.
agree.
We all come up with marketing ideas. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work.
Right.
The only way we're going to find out is by talking to them about each other,
Yep.
with each other, and one person doesn't like it, two people, it doesn't matter. But anyways, so we can
Yeah,
off that.
let's-
So it's speaking of marketing, we do a good job of that here.
We
We're
try
getting
to.
better
We're getting
with
better
it.
for sure.
So we are doing a Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, social media giveaway.
Yes, we are.
That is on TRSOutdoors.com.
.com. I'm gonna post a link in the. I'll post a link down there.
It's coming. Somebody say something.
Oh, my buddy Craig's on here. He goes, BK gets mad playing Fortnite, which
Yeah.
is very true. I do.
Yeah.
Because I suck at Fortnite, for the record.
So you
I'm
should probably
terrible.
switch to Apex because that's a superior game.
Is it?
Yeah.
You think so?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I
can't
put the team on
We
my
don't
back
have-
and got a
we
win
don't have
last
to-
night.
Yeah.
We don't
All
have
right.
to get into the.
I can't wait till you nerds do a video game podcast.
We
in
have the
here.
Elgato. We can do it.
Hey, I was playing the other night with one of his buddies, and the guy is actually a listener of the show. So you can pick on video games all you want, but
I've witnessed him spike a controller. That reminds me, like when I was a kid, we had Nintendo or whatever, and
Right.
I had some of my brothers would get so pissed they would honestly do that. Now you can do it even more because
I
they're
don't know
wireless.
if I've ever spiked a controller.
Yeah, I remember your Nintendo, you had like a 4-foot cord, you slammed it, throw it, you
Right.
push each other.
I would have to see some video proof of me spiking a cord. Now, I mean, there's been a couple of instances of,
I could see you spiking it.
You think
spiking
so?
a controller.
You think
yeah,
so?
I feel
Alright.
like it.
All right.
But
Yeah,
then again,
I'm sure
we
he
all
would. I'm
could.
sure he
We
would
all
never
You
could.
guys
lie.
in your little nicknames here on our Facebook, BK, JR, what's up, what's
Well,
up?
dude,
Who's
what do you think
CB?
what do you
Oh,
think?
Craig, okay,
God,
yeah.
you guys, you're really fast today.
Well, I'm just,
Where
I'm
did
like,
BK? Oh God, where'd that
man.
come from?
Yeah, and I call him the BK Lounge.
I was gonna say he should just start another business called the BK Lounge.
BK Lounge.
That's
yeah.
your bar.
When have you called it that? I've never
called
heard that
it
before.
Oh yeah,
called
yes.
that, yeah.
On air.
Is that because I'm
We've
always
called you.
lounging, or what?
It could,
It
that
could
makes
be.
sense.
Could be.
It's what is it? Dane Cook.
Dane Cook.
Dane
the
Cook.
BK Lounge.
That's what he always called Burger King
Oh really?
because he worked at Burger King, so he called it. I like to. It wasn't cool to say he worked at Burger King, so he called it the BK Lounge.
BK
Gotcha.
Lounge. And then I wish I had figured out which effects it was with the yelling into the thing. Like
yeah.
everybody rolls up
Yeah.
into a drive-through and just assumes they have to yell into
Yeah,
the
yeah.
microphone.
And the pickles.
That's because
I want pickles.
Yeah. It really is.
Oh, double Whopper, please.
Yep.
That's
So,
bad.
anyways,
Making me
yeah.
think of Super Troopers.
TRSOutdoors.com. We're doing this. We're giving away a Stratic CI4 Plus. It's a 2500, a phenomenal reel. Retail value is what, $230?
It's like
$229. This is-
$229.99.
And if you know anything about spinning reels,
Well, that's still the one we're giving away.
the CI4 series is made out of all the best components Shimano has. Like this, I don't know what is the weight on this because it almost weighs nothing.
Light
It was
as
like
a feather.
6 ounces or something like that. 6.7 ounces.
6.7 ounces.
Boom.
Wow.
Got him.
What, from a
Brilliant mind.
From a fishing reel standpoint, they got the Shimano's. In my opinion, they make the best spinning reels out there.
That thing is legitimately the smoothest reel I've
It
ever
is.
spun.
They'll run forever. You might spend a little more on a Shimano spinning reel, but if you take care of it, you lube it down. You lube it down annually, right? Take care of your reel.
Well, most people do lube it down annually.
They last forever. They really do. I
Well, and Shimano's
they're
got
awesome.
good customer service, but with our rep who is going to be on here middle of March,
just in here yesterday,
Miles Warwick, with our rep, he goes above and beyond for us,
Yeah.
and so yeah, so who doesn't like to have a free reel?
it is.
Seriously.
I mean, they are. They're the best. That is the best spinning reel.
Zach,
Yeah,
do me
period.
a favor and break that down for everybody so they simply know how easy it is to get a chance in. It's just-
I can do that. What we're going to do here is I'm just going to pop this up over at TRSOutdoors.com. You can go to the giveaways tab or the link that we put in the description. And with this, we have lots of cool stuff. 1,463 entries so far.
Yeah.
But to learn how to fire into there, you literally just do this right here. Subscribe on YouTube. Boom, that's 5 entries for you. You can visit and follow the Instagram the Instagram account if you haven't already. Get 5 more entries there. Facebook, like that, even more. And then for every friend you refer, up to 10, you get 1 point per referral. So definitely a
So how many points
awesome
is that
program.
at the end for 10 friends?
10 friends.
How many points is that?
I don't know, man. I think
Somebody
it's
just-
1 plus 10.
I'm watching the highlight thing here, and somebody just hit the mad face on that. Why would you hit the mad face on getting a free reel?
Why are you mad?
Right? How can you possibly be?
Where
insane
do you
with
see
that?
a mad face? Did somebody really mad react us?
They did. I saw it
From
go.
now
I
on.
saw it go up the
Maybe it's our
screen.
topic.
Mad reacts only, okay? Mad
Jeez
reacts only.
Louise.
Oh, maybe he's just mad because he's jacked up. Like, he's just fired up today.
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
That's
That could
just
be
that's
it.
what
Mad
I'm
fired up?
guessing.
That could be it. All right. So
Either
speaking
way,
of-
Pa Keller
so
says
giveaways
hi.
are cool.
So,
Right.
yeah, giveaways, TRS Outdoors, win a reel,
TRS Outdoors / giveaways.
/giveaways. Is
Right.
it /?
/ Yeah.
That's /
So if you
Look.
want the technical, the real URL is outdoors.therealshot.com / giveaways.
You can do TRS Outdoors. It's the same
Yeah,
thing.
I know. I was just trying
We're
to
just
get
getting
technical
technical.
because he wants to know if it's a
Just
/
trying to confuse everybody.
Yeah, maybe somebody just watched your Fortnite highlights. You slamming a remote down.
Could have been.
All right,
Maybe they're mad that I said Apex is better than Fortnite.
Could have been that.
Could have been that too.
Oh, true story.
But it is.
All right.
So-
So let's get right into it. So
CWD.
CWD.
So let's talk a little history on CWD here.
Yep. So
Chronic wasting disease.
First and foremost, I want to say that we're not out to bash anybody.
Nope.
We are 100% in support of the Wisconsin DNR and all their DNR agencies that are trying to cure CWD and control it and all that kind of stuff. Now, as sportsmen, we have to help them out and do certain things. Whether you agree with it or you don't agree with it, that's your own opinion, and that's why we want to talk about it today. We are looking forward to
for our
your
business,
comments.
deer are very important.
Very important.
The outdoors is very important.
Right.
It is extremely important for us to have deer to be able to hunt because that's how we that's what our whole business is built on, right? Is the outdoors. So.
And it goes to a lot of people like the organic style meat, the healthiness of it.
That's all we eat.
And for a whitetail nerd like myself, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have archery hunting or.
You would probably twitch more than you do now.
Yeah. I'd probably end up playing Fortnite, and geez, that'd be a scary day. So, anyways. So we did try to do our homework the best way we could. And remember, this is our opinion, and it's we are going to try to state as many facts as we possibly can. But so let's get right into it. So yeah, CWD's first case in Wisconsin was in 2002. So
and that shocked me.
Think about that.
When you told me that this morning, I figured we were going on like 4 or 5 years of this.
Yes.
I had no idea it's been that long.
It is crazy. I believe it started with 2 deer. I can't remember if they were pen-raised deer or actually, deer harvested. Right now in the state of Wisconsin, there are 55 affected counties.
Out of? Do you know how many counties we have?
Probably not a whole lot more than 55. But I mean, I think
I'm gonna look it up.
Look it up. But there's 55 counties, and we're gonna play a clip here. There is a clip, and we can always share the link to the clip. The Wisconsin DNR is doing a great job. 72 counties. So we're going to play a clip but the Wisconsin DNR does a great job of, educating everybody the best way they possibly can. And the lady in the clip, her name is Tammy Ryan. I did actually get to speak with her a little bit yesterday on the phone. She was very receptive, very helpful. I'm thankful she called me back and we talked about it. But Zach, why don't you play this a little bit here just so kind of people can understand maybe if they're not familiar with what CWD is, which you might be living under a rug if you don't know what it is.
76% of the counties.
That's a big
number.
That's a majority.
That's a big deal.
So she's gonna in this clip, if we cue it up from where I told Zach to, she talks about what CWD is, how it spreads, and all that kind of stuff. So let's let Tammy Ryan do a little bit of talking.
Aware of the fact that there is a disease that's endemic to the state of Wisconsin. It was detected back in 2002, so we've been monitoring this disease for the last 16 years.
So for someone that's not familiar with CWD, what exactly is this disease? What does it consist of?
So CWD is known as a transmissible spongiform encephalopathy, so it's a TSE, which is a disease that's caused by a prion. And a prion is basically a malformed protein that causes the disease process in the infected animal. So it's transmissible because it can be transmitted from animal to animal, from deer to elk or elk to deer. And also it's infectious. So it's a disease that can be spread from deer to deer through that, either through the exposure to saliva, urine, feces. Those are all known to contain prions that can be infectious. Also to the environment. We know that prions can persist in the environment, and so even after an infected deer may have left an area, another deer comes along, they certainly could receive that infection through the environment as well. So once a deer becomes infected, somehow that CWD prion enters into their system, generally through the oral process, through their mouth, or and so ultimately it gets ingested in some manner. And then once the disease takes hold of the animal, it actually can reside within an animal for up to 17 months or longer. Where that animal is actually infected with the disease, but outwardly it doesn't look as though it's infected. And then it could take, beyond that time frame is, anywhere beyond that 17-month time frame. It could be 2-3 years before they actually hit that clinical state where they actually start to demonstrate outwardly the impacts of the disease. So the disease is a neurological disease, and ultimately it works its way into the brain. When that final clinical stages, they're going to be demonstrating certain symptoms like inability to walk, or maybe their heads are tilted, or the ears are drooped. Salivation, excessive salivation is a pretty common symptom that you may note. And ultimately, in the end, the animal does succumb to to the disease and they do die. There is no cure for this disease.
Is it contagious throughout the entire time period?
It is, yes.
So there you go.
Right.
So there's a lot of huge words in there, and there's a lot of, but there was a lot of good information in there as well.
Now, you actually talked to her yesterday, right?
I did speak with her yesterday,
okay.
And a lot of the stuff she covered in this video. So this video I found on YouTube, it's obviously directly for Wisconsin.
Yep. And when was that from?
Do you
know what is the date on that video, Zach? Do you know?
The date on that video is from October 10th, 2018.
Okay, so
right.
pretty recent.
So it's pretty recent. And they're in the beginning of the video, they say that they're in the CWD Research Center and all that kind of stuff.
And you can see the maps in the background.
You can see the maps and all that kind of stuff. So that video does a really good job of explaining, first of all, CWD.
Yep.
She talks about some of the symptoms of it and, what to look for. And then the further on through the video, it just basically says what does the DNR want from hunters and conservationists and all that kind of stuff. So, we got another clip about ready to roll too about the what a deer would look like. She kind of talked about it, but basically what I gathered, if you see a deer that you believe or you have a deer that's infected, now there's no proof that it can go to humans.
Right.
But that what does she call it? A TSE, I think. That's the thing that that's the problem. The prion is the huge problem, obviously. That's the part that makes it hard to control. But, she did reference how in the last video we're going to show you, livestock virtually get the same kind of stuff.
All hoofed animals.
All
right?
hoofed animals could potentially, and that's where that TSE comes into play. So now, the last video we're going to watch talks about how, cattle gets mad cow disease, goats can get, scabies and all this kind of stuff. And they actually say it incorrectly. They call it scabies. It's not the same thing. She corrected me on that last night on the phone.
Oh, really? Okay.
But for those who don't think that...
So do we have a video, you said, of what a CWD infected deer looks like?
Yeah,
Can we see that?
All, Zach can cue it up if we want.
Yeah, let's see that.
It's here.
Time the deer start to show signs, they look pretty awful. They start to have a lowered head. Excessive thirst could be seen, usually very thin, pretty much wasting away. So it's pretty awful to see. But a lot of the deer out there might not be showing any signs, but still have CWD. We do see the prevalence rates higher in adult bucks and also higher in adults than in juveniles. One of the thoughts with that is that adult bucks are often interacting with more deer.
So yeah, everything we talk about conservation-wise and stuff, that's, if you've never seen, I've never actually seen one.
Neither have I.
But, it's obviously a big deal, and we don't, that's just terrible.
And both you and I hunt counties that have...
Right, and I've yet to see one. But
right.
Like they said, with the taking up to 2 or 3 years.
2 to 3 years, that deer could be
huge.
normal and all of a sudden, but that's the thing. It's infected, so it could still spread that whole entire time. So that could bring up the... one of the biggest controversies that we hear or, gets people fired up the most is the whole baiting thing.
Right.
You and I talk about this quite a bit where baiting to me is one of those things I'd live without it.
I don't bait personally.
Right.
But I think that if the way to get rid of the issue is to eradicate, not baiting kind of makes that harder.
I would agree with that.
Right? That's I understand the bait thing, and they transfer it all the time because the bait pile's out there 24 hours a day, all that kind of stuff. But for the average guy who hunts weekends or he doesn't have a ton of free time or whatever, he's just going to hunt, not being allowed to bait if your true goal is to try to eradicate them.
Something, right.
It's not easy to get the deer to conjugate to do that.
And to me, I think of if you truly want to eradicate something, I think of the steps they take for the hogs and where wild pigs are, they run cages that are baited.
Mm-hmm.
They trap, they cage as many at one time.
Yep.
A lot of it's surveillance style where they can automatically lock the deer in there. Then they take care of them the way they need to. So, has the state of Wisconsin or any of these CWD states taken those kind of steps to eradicate? My question would be for anybody that's hunted those southwestern parts of Wisconsin where the highest concentration of CWD is, for the long time they had an eradication program in place.
Yep.
Was it successful? Was it not successful? A lot of guys got excited because they could go shoot as many deer as they basically wanted.
Well, and I think that the other video we kind of talked about on Wednesday that just kind of came to light. I think that raises a lot of questions for me, right? Like if what this guy says is possibly true.
Yep.
And if this has been going on for 16 or 17 years, are we seeing? It doesn't seem to me that we're seeing things get better.
No.
Right.
No.
So
and
what
if
are
anything,
we,
it's getting worse.
Right. So it's not working. Right. Like
what is in place right now is not working.
I mean, I'm not picking sides. I'm just saying if it's been going on for 17 years, it's either it's a completely losing battle and we got to just throw our hands up in the air and say, oh well, it's over.
Right.
Or we got to say it isn't working.
What are the next steps?
What are we going to try different? Like, because this is not working.
Yeah, and that's where, I don't know.
I'm not trying to point the finger at anybody. It's just reality.
No,
it's either working or it's not, right?
It's not.
You know what's happening. Okay, 5 years go by. Okay, fine. Maybe it's working. Maybe it's not working.
Well, and that's,
you get to 17 years, and it's like, well, maybe this just ain't working.
You could really go into it a can of worms and say, is it not working because it's producing extra funds for certain areas?
Yeah, we talked about that this morning too. It's hard to look at things and not follow where the money comes from and decisions, especially when the DNR it's part of the governmental deal, and if you follow the political landscape at all, and I'm not taking sides, but everybody's pointing the fingers at everybody, and there's money everywhere getting followed. Right? If you follow the money, it'll show you what's going on.
Yep.
So maybe not to say that's a part of it, but everybody's talking about trying to make it better, but nothing's changing or nothing's getting better.
Right.
So why?
Right.
Like why? It makes you ask a question, right? At least ask the question, why isn't it, what is happening here? It's either a losing battle or, and if anybody's watching, I'd love to get, if you got some insights
chime in.
on this.
Again, what I found in particular is, first of all, this opened my eyes to a lot of different things.
Right.
And it also opened my eyes to when I called multiple people to try to ask them if they were willing to be on the show, if they were willing to talk about it. A lot of people tiptoed into the darkness.
Yep.
Because it's so controversial.
You're probably going to start, when we start doing this, you're probably going to start seeing random headlights in your
right
on the road at night, right?
Yeah, but it is. And a lot of, but there's also some of the phone calls I made were closely related into the deer farming world, which is something that we're not even going to try to tackle today because neither one of us can really speak about that. But
you did talk to a couple deer farmers.
I talked to
and this is extremely important to them.
Very important.
I mean, this is their livelihood they're talking about.
Exactly right.
It's a big deal.
Because some herds got eradicated. Herds that were big money because, from what I understand, some are breeder herds.
Yep.
Where, for biggest rack, just like a breeder bull or something like that. And some are bred to then again be used in hunting preserves.
Okay.
Because whether you like it or not, there's still people out there that like to pay good money to go shoot a big deer. And there's really one way to do that. So that's, I just found that it opened my eyes because, like, first of all, it is real. It's a real deal. Where, there was always rumors for a while. Is it made up? Is it a legitimate thing? Are they just trying to kill more deer? Aren't everybody likes to throw the insurance companies into this kind of stuff? It's a real thing.
Well, I think it's a real thing for sure. So let's play that other video because then that'll kind of
explain
this whole thing.
Now I'll do my best here to Zach. I guess, like, I queued you up for, like, the majority of when this one gentleman talks. I'll just kind of give you the high sign when I think Brian and I want you to cut it. But the opening statement this one gentleman who's about to get on the podium says, now remember, this video here is got, I think it's almost got about 25,000 views, something like that. For a video that's this.
And this just came out, what, a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I think it was like February 7th or something around there.
Okay.
Now, and I asked that Tammy Ryan in this video, and every state official that we talked to was 100% familiar with this video.
Yep, they've all heard about it.
They pointed out to me that.
Well, let's just listen to it first.
All right.
Let's go ahead and play it.
Okay.
You fill them in on where we're going to go from here, and just give us some marching orders.
Thank you, Steve.
Yep. So the guy.
This is on the government, like the government building.
We're here today to announce that we have discovered the real cause of CWD, and that we have a cure for field application in 12 to 18 months. As Phil stated, chronic wasting disease, or CWD, was first identified in Pennsylvania in 2012. Since then, it has continued to spread within the state, and now is on the edge of the Pennsylvania elk range. Both deer and elk are vulnerable in Pennsylvania, and long-term studies in other states, as well as my own wildlife disease research with elk, indicate that if there is not a dramatic change to our current CWD disease management approach, that we will face the effective extinction of deer and elk in Pennsylvania for generations, likely for a century. For those of you who have visited our spectacular Elk Country Visitor Center, it may soon stand empty. The tradition of sport hunting, as we have known it, will end, placing at risk our Second Amendment. The impacts to outdoor recreation and tourism and to the outdoor industry will be staggering. Economic impacts across the state and within rural communities will be measured in the tens of billions of dollars, and across America in the trillions of dollars. This is where we're headed without a breakthrough. Once infected, a deer can appear healthy in an incubation period for a year or more with no visible signs of illness. In late stages, symptoms from brain lesions quickly manifest into aimless wandering, falling, drooping ears, and excessive salivating. Death soon follows. To date, the mainstream theory is that the disease is caused by a malformed protein called a prion. However, after decades of searching, no cure has been found for this supposedly prion-caused disease. That is, until now. Dr. Frank Bastian in his lab at Louisiana State University has discovered that CWD is actually caused by a previously unknown bacteria called spiroplasma, and that prions are simply a byproduct of the bacterial infection. Let me repeat, CWD is not caused by a prion. It is caused by a previously undiscovered species of bacteria called spiroplasma. Because prion is always present in infected animals, it was erroneously assumed that prions were the cause of the disease. This breakthrough discovery is a game changer in that it's now possible to develop a vaccine, an antibiotic to prevent and cure CWD. It's to be done like Jonas Salk's vaccine cured polio. Dr. Bastian has developed a three-step approach.
So, okay, so this is where it gets interesting, right? Like, I'm not saying this guy's right or wrong.
Right.
Because I don't have any idea. That's doctor, scientist, that's the
So Dr. Bastian...
way over my head.
Yeah, so from what I found is this gentleman has been doing research on this kind of stuff since around like 1970. So think about that. Now, you know, we had talked earlier, it could definitely take that long to find a cure.
For sure.
I mean, especially if maybe it wasn't CWD he was trying to do the studies on, because I can't remember when it originated out. It was first found, I think, in Colorado in an elk farm out there is where they first found a thing, or a CWD. But then, like we had spoke about earlier, it could definitely take that long to get there.
Oh, for sure.
And now for him to say in 12 to 18 months, they potentially have a field test kit.
Well, see, and that's what he goes on to talk about is they got a 3-year plan here to try to have a field test kit, and then there was a way to kind of, they were figuring out a way to spread this to the wildlife.
Right.
No, second phase was to go to the deer farms with some kind of a vaccine.
Yep.
And then third phase is going to have some way to kind of get that out into the wildlife. So when we brought this video up to the lady at the DNR, I actually had a friend of mine who's on the Conservation Congress in Wisconsin contact me just totally random, and we kind of talked about. He didn't even know we were going to talk about this, and everybody said, well, he's been making those claims since 2017 is what I was told.
Correct.
He's been making those claims. Well, that doesn't mean he's wrong.
Right.
I find it really interesting how fast people are to say that's not it.
That's not it. That's right.
That's wrong.
Right.
So what I see right away is something that you were told yesterday. this is a private sector
Yes,
dealing.
and that would
so
that's important.
That
it's
is
a very,
the private sector
I can't
dealing.
remember what is it, United Sportsmen's Alliance or something. If that's
like
wrong
that.
and I pointed at somebody else out, I apologize. But it says it right on the right on their banner. But that's one thing that was brought to my attention as well, is like, if it was legitimately the PA DNR, the Pennsylvania DNR, you would think that every other DNR in every state affected with it would already know this and would be all gangbusters.
And they didn't know, and they were aware of it.
Right.
So, again, I can understand people being skeptical, right? I can understand it completely.
But you got to remember, the DNR is the government, and if this is not government, this isn't government-funded research. This is private sector research. So why would they give it to them?
But the government in Pennsylvania seems to be. I mean, because later on they had, I think, the governor.
It was one of the state senators.
Right. They had. So I mean, they're obviously involved at this point. I find it interesting. I find it odd that everybody is so quick to say, "Well, it can't possibly be that." Well, when you've been looking at something that we've been dealing with for 17 years and what we're trying isn't stopping it, how can you be so quick to say that this is wrong? That's what I don't understand. And I'm not, again, I am not a scientist. I don't know enough to, maybe scientifically none of it makes any sense, right? And that could totally be the case. But just from an outdoorsman standpoint, right, how can you say a guy that has maybe or maybe not found something is wrong, and then this is what we know. We already know exactly what it is. Well, if you know exactly what it is, why can't we stop it?
Or does the DNR just want to say, well, it could be wrong because we haven't found it yet?
Well, it could be.
That's a big thing that our government does.
Well, and that's
quite
the thing.
A bit.
Again, like, to reiterate, we're not trying. We're just raising questions.
Exactly.
We have questions ourselves, so this is a great format for us to ask these questions aloud.
Realistically, without the DNR, we would not have sport, hunting, or fishing the way that we do.
100% agree.
We're not against that, but what I'm trying to say at least is that if it's private sector research that's funded privately, not from the government, maybe it's getting some traction now. But if it's not what they've been spending the last 20 years trying to work on, and they don't want to admit the wrong.
And you hit the nail on the head right there. That's
exactly
my thing. We spent 17 years going down this road. Well, if all of a sudden we're on the wrong road, everyone's going to come out and paste us about being wrong.
Right, because we've tried.
Well,
and then it could go right back into the deer farm things. If you all of a sudden eradicate somebody's livelihood, and then now, unfortunately, that's the way things work.
And then you know what's going to happen after that. The lawsuits are going to come.
Right.
So I get all that. But on the end of the day, are we really going to just let this keep going on forever if this guy's right?
Right. Well, and so
that's the only question I have is, if I ever got to ask him is, what if this guy's right? Then what?
Well, and that was the thing. So Wednesday show we spoke that we just made the decision we were going to talk about it.
Yeah, right.
I got a number of text messages.
You got so sucked into it, you forgot to promote today's
show.
I
know, right? And I got a number of text messages from people referencing this video and saying, now, if you do watch this video past the point where we left it, it does become a fundraiser.
Absolutely, we're looking for $300,000 over 3 years.
And multiple people told me just be careful because this guy is looking for funding. That's a valid point. But on the same token of that, how do cures happen?
Right.
Well, look at the amounts of money that is spent in other areas.
If the guy's looking for funding and he's got a possible cure, the government spends tens of billions of dollars on research over stuff. What $300,000 is cheap.
Right.
If the guy's a whack job, okay, whatever, fine.
Won't be the first time.
We
spend money on something.
Right, but if he's not a whack job and he legitimately has any proof at all.
See, that's where I look at this video and play devil's advocate with what I said before, but then pairing with the fact that he came out and made claims with he didn't pull out a whiteboard and say this is why. Right. He said this is this, and that.
Totally agree. So, all I'm saying is if he could prove it, even if there's a 2% chance that he's right?
Let's try that 2% chance.
Yeah, but $300,000 or $100,000 to develop the first level of it to give from a POC proof of concept standpoint. That's cheap compared to the millions they're spending on trying to stop what they can't stop.
That's not working as of right now. Yeah, it's one of those. It's a double-edged sword, man. It's crazy. But the real thing is what can we do? Well, we already know what we can do, right? Last year they promoted that the strict transportation rules.
Yeah, they started
They
the
started
transportation
it.
rule,
Yeah, they wanted
and
it
then
in
the
place.
state collectively lost their shit. Right?
And it's no longer in place.
What did it last? Like a week?
Yep.
Yep.
Like
Maybe.
just about, I think it was like
Literally,
a
it
week or
wasn't-
two.
I mean, I
wasn't
think
much more
the
than a
DNR
month.
came out and said that. So what was the ruling? The ruling came out was that you had to take your deer to a certified processor in the county it was shot, right?
Well, no, I think it was you had 72 hours.
Certified processor anywhere,
Yep.
or you had to do it yourself in the county it was shot.
Or in the county in your shot, or a taxidermist or a certified processor.
Right.
I believe that was. If anybody knows it official, let us know. But I believe that was the ruling, somewhere around those lines.
Yep.
Right.
So that's not feasible for most people out there.
Right.
Well, it would just shut down the whole thing. I mean,
A lot of people like to hang their deer, ages the meat, makes it taste better.
well, or they're from Illinois, or they're from
they have to-
Milwaukee,
they have
and they
to-
drive up north,
Right.
and they go home, and they
And the main reason they wanted to do that is because it's the skeletons, it's that certain stuff that where it's all collected in.
Yep.
They just don't want those remnants going.
well, because of the prion that exists in the bone structure and all that
Correct.
stuff. So I get that, but they tried that ruling. It lasted 3-4 days. Everybody lost.
it was
their
up.
minds.
It was uproar. I was totally against it as well.
Yeah, everybody lost their minds. So obviously the DNR came out and said, "Okay, fine,
Right.
we're going to stop that." That obviously is not real popular.
It's
Right.
But
But
again,
now, in terms of an infectious disease standpoint, now you got to think about their end of that.
Right.
It's the same thing as if I have SARS or something like that, and I just come to work when I
Right.
should probably be at home because
Right.
I'm infectious.
Yes.
So you got to look at their side of it and go, if this is an infectious disease that's transferable to the other animals, that's why
But
they don't want it to go into another county that doesn't have the disease yet.
completely understand that. But now you got to look at if the industry. It's an industry, right?
Yep.
Deer hunting's an industry.
Sure is.
Huge amounts of dollars between license sales and businesses like ours and all
Right.
these other things that are affected by the lack of hunters.
Right.
All of a sudden now you tell the hunters that they can only hunt certain counties, or they can't travel, they can't do this, they can't do that. Well, all of a sudden now the people that are right now the only way to control this disease is the hunters. Now you're going to limit the way that, right? You can't bait. Now we're going to stop you from traveling, or you're not going to hunt anyways.
Right.
It's just going to get worse.
Right.
And
But that's where you have to take into account the short-term and long-term effects, is if they do things like that for the short-term until they can fix it.
But my point
But-
is again, why are we so quick to denounce somebody that may or may not be
Right.
right
right.
when what you're doing is not working, to the point of we're just
We
not
should
going to let
be
people
looking.
travel
Right.
to hunt or whatever? Why are we so quick to, you would think that they would be like, hey, let's give it a shot. What do we got to lose? This isn't working right now. Every time that, the juries or somebody comes out with the heat map on the CWD thing,
Right.
it just gets bigger and darker
bigger.
red all the
Yep,
time.
Yep.
You know?
And unfortunately, because we have such a large, what do you say, 76% of our counties.
Yeah.
Where Wisconsin's one of those targeted states that's like, you guys got to control this. But then
Right.
again, I did watch some YouTube videos where, there was, I think it was, again, Colorado, a mule deer herd out there that was one of the worst herds for CWD. Like, an extreme amount of their deer herd had that, and they were significantly testing that area. And again, for what they're testing, what they're trying, it's just not working.
Right.
It's not working.
So,
Right.
I don't want deer hunting to ever go away. And
No,
so
I
we
don't
need
either.
everybody needs to just work together on this and try to do whatever you possibly can, because otherwise numbers of hunters are decreasing.
already. Without CWD,
Without
they're already
CWD,
decreasing.
they are already
Because there's too many people like Zach playing Fortnite. I'm just kidding. I'm just
Apex.
kidding.
Apex.
I could say that because I play video games too, so I'm,
Right.
I'm picking
Right.
on myself. But it's true fact. There's fewer and fewer younger generations aren't getting into it like they used to.
Well, and I've had multiple people say that with all this talk and without here's what maybe should be more emphasis on is it ever going to be transmitted to humans?
Right.
Because I've talked to a lot of people on the sales floor that said, my wife, my kid, my family members, they don't want to touch a deer meat anymore because what if?
Right.
Well, my argument to that is there's mad cow disease, there's all these poultry, there's all these
Now,
other.
see, when I hear a guy catching walleye and look at a bunch of worms in the meat and say, just fry it out, it'll be fine, I think about it the same way. However, I'm glad that you brought that up, because there was a test done back in 2005 where they fed, I do believe that this is how it went, they fed 200 people and they actually went to just see what would happen, which sounds like a possible disaster about
Right.
to happen. But they fed people, and approximately 200 people consumed CWD infected meat, and nothing happened.
Right.
At all.
And there probably could be.
And sorry, it was a clickbait article from a local newspaper. I won't name names, but inside of it, then after they said it did nothing, well, the people actually got diabetes and this, that, the other thing, but they decided that was due to old age. I'm like, why is that part of this article? I don't know.
Right.
But nothing happened to those people.
Yeah, Josh in the chat said, I'd be interested to hear if this guy's research was government funded at some point and what his annual grant status report should say. I totally agree with that.
Right.
And that could be where some of these, like maybe the lady from the DNR's got privy access to that.
Right.
She knows that what the reports are totally bogus. That could be that could actually be the case. I have no idea. But then why not, instead of just denouncing it, just be like,
well,
that's the problem I've got with all of this
give
stuff.
it a little
going on
light.
right now.
It was
Give it a little
stated
light.
Just be like, here's his reports. They suck.
Right.
Like,
It
this
was-
doesn't work.
It was
right?
it was stated it was still a hypothesis at this point. It wasn't. To me, they made it sound like there's no hard facts on this kind of stuff.
I
But
agree.
how are you going to
However,
get?
I do like this guy's business tactic of trying to beat the states to it, because then if he makes it, he gets
Oh,
to
yeah, he's
capitalize
making
off
trillions.
of it.
Oh.
So at the
and
same
then-
time,
totally
then
agree.
looking for funding, maybe that gives it some merit that he actually did find something, he wants to capitalize on it. There's so many, or he could be a mad scientist that's too drowned in his work, and he just needs more money to support his passion.
I go back to if there's a 2% chance that this guy's right, and for $100,000, that's not a lot of money from a government standpoint.
Right.
What can we harm by doing this?
There's a
unless, like I said, unless Josh is right and these reports show the guy's just a complete wackadoo.
Right.
And nothing he's doing is any good. He's just going to take $100,000 and take a trip to Hawaii, and with the money or whatever.
Well,
I mean, if the money was going towards actual research and you could prove that, why wouldn't you try it?
Right.
Yeah. That'll if he's not legit and he's doing something with these funds and he's not, that law will catch up with him eventually.
Oh,
but that's a
right.
whole different.
Oh, right.
But there's other monies collected for certain other things.
But if he's
that still don't have cures yet.
Lots
of money,
billions of dollars, that
billions
don't have
of
cures.
dollars, and then you could. Where's that money going?
Right.
And it's.
And I'd be interested too on the fundraising part. Has he tried to go to the governments and the governments have said no? Because this was more like that video we showed from Pennsylvania was more of a plea to the public.
Right.
Please help us raise funds to do this.
And why? And that to me, that's kind of
why
would you say no to this?
No, right. But
if his guy at the university, why wouldn't the university be funding the research?
Right, because
and these are all just questions.
Because the states and the feds have donated a lot of money to research CWD, right? So again, does it go back to they don't want to do this because it might prove them wrong?
But at the end of the day, then you also got to think. I mean, if we have some of the best scientists in the world and whatnot here in the U.S., if this guy this far into the time period that CWD has been around is finally just now saying, hey, you know what, it might be bacteria caused, I feel like somewhere down the line a better scientist came along and already tried it.
Proved it right.
I mean, you don't know, though.
But you don't know. Maybe they just
it's
completely
like
missed
a
the
lot
ball.
of things, though. If you're in that and you're like, this was the cause, so how do we kind of fix that? You kind of forget about, well, maybe that wasn't the cause.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. And again, I'm not a scientist. Most of that stuff's way over my head.
Yeah.
Right? I run a small little retail store.
Yeah.
So a lot of that stuff's way over my head. It's just, to me, if you said, business-wise, right? If the guys on the floor came in and said, hey, every time we get here, the floor is dirty. Every day I show up to work and the floor's dirty. We've tried this for 15 years. Every time I show up to work, the floor is still dirty. Well, eventually, if somebody came in and said, guess what? If you clean the floor at night,
it won't be
before you go home and you
Right.
come in the morning, the floor's clean. I'd be like, holy shit.
Yeah,
right? But, right? I mean, it's kind of the same thing.
100%.
I mean, if somebody said you could, if you clean the floor, buy a scrubber, do that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. I mean,
last time I checked, though, what I thought is still kind of interesting yet, this video has 0 comments on it.
really.
Look at all the YouTube videos that people
yeah,
watch on a
I didn't
daily
notice that.
basis.
That's
Unless
interesting.
comments are turned off.
They
might
could
have
have
That
turned
could
off
very
comments
well
turned
be,
off.
which is another question mark about it.
Right.
Because you could click on any one of those videos that's on the right of that thing,
Yep.
and there's probably 60, 70 comments.
Oh, for sure.
Some are just absolutely
And
asinine.
we're not the only two guys that think CWD is important.
No,
Right? There'd be thousands. I don't know. It's
And
just weird.
And now, like,
it's also weird why it's only got 27,000 views.
Now, it was brought to my attention that this may not have been the original video.
Okay.
There may be another video out there, and this
from
is
the same press conference.
From the same kind of, and they just jazzed it up a little bit more this time. So that's why this video is coming to the light this time around.
Right.
You know, so it's
I don't know.
But like we had talked about it briefly, you know, on the eating aspect of it all. My father-in-law gave me a couple of articles. It's in livestock papers.
Right.
He gets these like livestock newspapers for like sheep and cattle, and it's in there. So it's a big deal all over the place. And if like if you watch this video further, he talks about, you know,
well, he would eliminate farting cows. So there's a section of the population that would
saving California.
We'd save some farting cows and some ethanol gases or whatever.
But like in this Pennsylvania video, they talk about how CWD could be related to these other diseases that affect other hoofed
one was
animals.
a strain of that guy in that Pennsylvania video took that all the way to a strain of Alzheimer's.
Right. He took it all the way to the very top.
So. Yeah.
So but
the thing with Alzheimer's is at the end of the day, Alzheimer's is very similar to this. It's just for your brain and it doesn't affect your body.
But that's what this does eventually. With
you gotta
deer.
Yeah, right. But you got to think about this too. Is like think about mad cow disease, like how big of a thing that was.
Well, right. That's why it's in papers like this.
Right. It's the same thing.
Because if it's a hoofed animal and it's susceptible sometime, maybe that's not CWD. It's not called that.
Right.
Maybe it's called mad cow disease.
Right.
Well,
when they're similar. There's similar symptoms. There's similar ways that they're infected. It's very similar. It's oddly similar. Honestly,
to the point where that just maybe this, like we said, this video has a little more validity than
what they're giving him. But that's exactly it, though. That's just typical fashion, though. Is to if we didn't do it, let's knock it because we've been working on it for so long.
Exactly.
And that's where I look at it. Where I don't know. We don't know.
I don't know.
We don't know.
Again,
all we can do is talk about it.
It's just a pertinent topic right now. And it's a pertinent topic all the time. Try to surf something and not see a CWD conversation come up at some point.
Oh, right.
It's impossible right now because, again, like we said, it affects so many people in Wisconsin just because there's so many hunters in this state. And Pennsylvania is another one of those states with a high population of hunters. We, as conservationists, as hunters, we want to help out. We want to find a cure for this thing or find the best way to eliminate the spread. Right. Maybe that's the first step, like you said. How do you eliminate the spread? Well, eradicating the deer herd obviously ain't doing it.
Well, does it work? Because you can't. They don't allow you to shoot enough.
You know, so and if it is that prion is still in the soil, well, you know, I don't know what you do then. You know, but it's what's going on right now doesn't seem to be working.
I agree. So why not look for something else? Right? I mean, if it's not working.
Yep.
If you're scratching the itch and the itch doesn't go away, maybe you should find another, right? Like
you should probably go to a doctor.
Well, right. That's my point. I mean, it was a bad analogy, but it's the first thing that popped in my head.
Technically, I mean.
That was the first thing that popped in my head. It was just like if whatever you're doing, it's like Albert Einstein's definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result.
Yeah.
It's like, what's changing?
And that's exactly it. And that's where you have to wonder, too, on state funding-wise, is, I mean, they're just pouring all this money into research that's not working. Are they researching the wrong things?
Right.
Is this guy or somebody out there researching the right things?
And that could be that isn't out of the realm of possibility that that's what's happening.
And
that's all I'm saying.
My question to anybody that, you know, it says that there is a cure for it. They're not going to release it because there's money being made. How is anybody making money off of the CWD?
It would be the only thing I could think
of. It would be
like
is it grants and all that kind of stuff?
So the money deal would be because it's just like when Big Pharma has to, you know, apply to something. You know, it's just if this guy actually makes a cure, he could withhold it and be like, I'm not telling you anything until you pay me a lot of money.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's where the money is. It's the money from the state to his pocket that he would be worried about.
Well, you're saying in this thing right now, but yeah, like
no, he's saying if it's a money thing, why aren't they stopping it? What would be the benefit to not stopping it?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yep, that in a roundabout way. It's because it's like you're only hurting more and more people from wanting to get into the sport of hunting.
Right.
Whether you're for it or not, it's a great bonding time, and it's.
If that was the case, the only way that would be a thing was if somebody was benefiting by having fewer deer. Just gonna leave it at that.
Well, that's great because there's another magazine. It's on Wisconsin. Again, I got this one from my father-in-law, and this one briefly talks about CWD, but this is done by a gentleman, and his point of the matter is there's too many deer in certain areas, okay, where maybe CWD came about because it's, Mother Nature has a way of controlling what it needs to. When something's too high, it's going to knock it back. Because like he's a botanist, and he noticed it because like there's a lot of native plants in areas that aren't growing as much anymore because of high concentrations of deer.
Right.
And then a lot of this in his research and his studies, like this is a little off topic of CWD, but not really, because like he's saying like the state in a way from his research is against his research because they're like hunters just want more deer. So if native plants have to suffer for that,
so be it.
So be it.
Right.
Hunters want to go out and see 30 deer a night. They don't care if you can't grow an oak tree. That they reference oak trees in here because they tried planting like 50,000 and they got like 7 left because the deer just wiped them out. And if anybody's tried planting anything,
good luck. If you got in the high deer area,
high deer densities,
good luck.
So again, it's just that's all. That's more management types talking, but all that.
But I think it's all the same.
It all
puzzle, right? It's all the same thing.
It's just
absolutely.
And
that's why I don't want this to come across like I know what I'm talking about, because I really don't. I'm just seeing the picture for what I have, right? And I'm not a biologist. I don't worry about the trees and the plants and the native whatever bugs come from those plants. I mean, that's what those guys get paid to do, right? They're looking at the big macro picture of everything.
Yep.
Again, it just seems a little odd to me.
Yeah.
The so quickly denouncing the fact that there could be some other reason, that to me just seems weird.
Well,
they're absolutely shooting it down like right away. Just
and everybody
to me is a little sketch, because you'd think that it would be, well, maybe there's some merit to it. We should explore that avenue. Nope, that could be fake. You probably shouldn't pay attention to that.
Yes, like the answer. In my opinion, you ask the question, the answer should be, we're waiting for him to submit his reports. Right. Once we submit those reports, we'll have an answer.
Yep.
Okay, cool. That's great.
Right.
But the instant, nope, that can't possibly ever be the case. Well, how do you know that?
Right.
Unless these reports are public somewhere that I don't know about.
Right.
And they're out there fact checked.
And you can check them. Right. And for his research to be out there since around that 1970 era, I mean, maybe it is not legit, but why wasn't it ever brought to attention before all this?
Right.
Or maybe we're late to the party and this video's been out there, but obviously through YouTube you can see it's a current video just by the timestamp, which you could probably change that if you wanted to.
Well, no, but the senator in the video is like the current senator.
The current senator, and the amount of views and all that kind of stuff is another thing.
Right.
So, well, it's long story short. Let's hope this is legit. Let's hope this kind of study is legit, and if you want to be on the forefront.
Well, and if it's legit, and the guy's not going to have a hard time getting $100,000. From in a fundraising world, $100,000 is not a lot of money.
No, especially with like GoFundMe or any of these.
But I mean, there's some big name hunter guy out there that's gonna be like, okay, show me this works. Okay, great. Here's $100,000. If we're gonna keep this private, I'm gonna make $1 billion off of this thing.
Right.
Like he'll get the money if he can prove it at all.
Yep.
He's gonna get the money for it.
Right. And because they do mention like this guy's gonna win a Nobel Prize off of his research. Well, hopefully he does. If it's got to be legit, it's got to be true though.
Right. So anyway, it's interesting stuff. All right. So Monday we've got, what do we got coming
Tony
on Monday?
Malika's on for Monday with Omega Bass and the vice president of the Fox Valley Bass
Club. Okay, so that's Monday's show.
Monday's show. We're going to be talking to him, trying to talk about the Omega Bass line that we're going to be carrying this year.
They got some awesome looking stuff.
Yep.
Really cool looking stuff.
Yep. So I'm
excited to see some of that firsthand, and then obviously talk to him about. I mean, I'm sure he's on their pro staff, fishes it.
Yes.
All that type of stuff would be awesome.
And then I don't know if we're gonna try. We can try to get TJ on. We haven't spoke with TJ for a while.
Yeah, I'll see what TJ's doing Monday.
So maybe we'll try to get TJ on for Monday, and then you're off.
I'll be here Wednesday, and then I'm out Friday. Maybe I could Skype in from the drive or something. I'll be heading out to Alabama.
But what we've got lining up is, like I said, I think and we'll get this out there more than what I did, obviously, for today's show. I know.
Job.
But but we got the Miles with Shimano. I think it's.
Is he coming in next week already?
No, he's coming in March 13th.
Oh, okay.
So we're a ways away, but we got some good show ideas, and Obviously, we're always looking for more more topics, and anybody else wants to hear kind of something. We're gonna try to get Eggert in here because we're in shed season.
Okay, yep.
For those who are gonna want to go shed hunting, and he's a phenomenal shed hunter. Whether he has really good property, or he just knows how to find a shed.
I think it's just the eyes he's got. When
Yeah.
we were driving back from ATA, and he was seeing sheds out in the field from the highway going 70. I said, "What are you? What? Remember that?"
No, he said if we did see a shed.
Oh, I thought he said he saw one.
No, I don't think he saw one. Maybe.
I don't know.
But we're gonna try to get
he
him
seemed
on
pretty
here.
confident about the fact he could see a shed going 70.
The first part of March, he's gonna jump on here because he leaves for Kansas, I believe, that after we get back from the Bassmaster Classic.
Okay.
He leaves. He goes to Kansas, I think, annually, and he does his
big shed hunt.
big shed hunt and all that kind of stuff.
Very
so
cool.
We got some ideas for March coming up, but remember the TRS Outdoors, the giveaway is over there, and don't be afraid to comment on this video. After the fact, we're gonna monitor this one a lot, and I know Justin made some good, valid points on there with the goats and the scabies and the studies and all that kind of stuff. It's just hopefully something gets figured out.
I just think people got to keep an open mind about it.
Right.
Because 17 or 20 years of what we think is the case is not stopping it.
Right.
So we better come up with something. There's no guarantees in life. There's 100%. That's the only guarantee in life is there's no guarantees.
And with having an open mind on it, let's not be so against some of the rules they're trying to implement as well.
Right, I agree.
Even though they may be a pain in the butt.
Right.
But if you have
they're just trying to. They're trying.
They're
just trying to contain it.
Right.
They're trying
no different than this gentleman's trying to help as well.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, they're just trying to use the information they have at the time to
Yep.
make a decision. That's how decisions are made. So
that's all we can do is
that's how it
we can
goes.
do our best as sportsmen and help out the situation. So again, Monday show we got Tony Malika on here. TRS Outdoors, we got a
Is he
big.
bringing any giveaways in?
I hope so.
He better.
That was one reason we pushed him off a little bit is because he was waiting for some
Product to come in.
new product.
Oh, okay, cool.
We were hoping it would correlate with when our product shows
Got
up
it, yep.
here. And but I think he's going to be bringing in some giveaways as well. So
Very cool.
So yeah, we got the TRS Outdoors giveaway. And Zach, you got anything else you want to say? You got any plans? Anybody doing anything this weekend? Fun?
Hoping I get snowmobile if that rain doesn't happen.
I don't know. I'm just gonna treat this weekend.
Battle on Bago started.
Oh, that's right. That's right. How did we forget about that? Yeah,
Battle on
thanks for
Bago
everybody
started
that
today.
shared and liked and watched our video. I mean, again, that one got some good traction.
Absolutely.
So
good luck to anybody watching this later. If you're out there on the ice, good luck.
Yep.
Hopefully you finish 2000th place.
for F-150.
Win a big truck.
Big truck, then drive it over to the real
How many
shop.
times you hope somebody finishes 2000th place?
Yeah. Well, it just goes into,
right?
Everybody gets a participation award, right?
Yeah.
Right? Hey, if my participation award is a truck, sign me up.
Yeah, right? I want to be the
Right,
loser
right.
all the time.
Right.
So, cool. Thanks, everybody that joined in. And we'll see everybody on Monday. And have a great weekend. And be safe.
Oh, jeez. I knew he was going to say it. I knew it. All right. Thanks, everybody.